everyone, I'm Aveline. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. So we are building, I don't really know what to call this fully, but a house that is situated on a hill. I want to call it something Hillslope or something like Hillslope because I feel like unless you build on, say for a house this size, unless you build on a 64 by 64, it's really difficult to actually make room for an entire hill and then put it on the side of the hill, so make like a proper hillside house. You could with a tiny house, but this is not a tiny house, so you would need a bigger lot. I'm building on a 40 by 30 today. I felt like that was sufficient for this house, and we're also building on the island in Windenburg. There is actually a 64 by 64 on this island, but I stuck with the 40 by 30 because I felt like it was fine for this house. Also, the house is inspired by a picture that I saw on Pinterest, and I came across this house. I don't remember if I did. I built this 2 days ago, so I don't remember if I found it on the day or if I've had it saved on one of my boards for a while or whatever, but I just saw it again, and, well, if I've seen it before, I saw it again, and I just thought, yeah, that looks like a challenge. I want to take that on. Let's see what we can do with this in the game. And I really like the outcome. This is probably the favorite, or my own personal favorite house out of the ones that I've built over the past month or so. I feel like everything just kind of worked together in the end, even though the shape of the house is super simple. We're trying to add details to it to make it look a little bit more fun and maybe a little bit more experimental, and so I like how the house turned out in the end, but it's definitely a bit of a process getting to that point. So if you are on the fence still right now, so where we're at in the video right now with the build, don't worry, it gets better. I just wanted to point that out. It is a little bit messy right now, but it does get better. It starts making sense eventually. We're also doing a lot of landscaping today because, again, at 40 by 30, I wanted it to look like, I just wanted it to look lush because there was something about the original house, especially the interior actually. I added a lot of the landscaping so that it would fit with the surroundings here on this island in Windenburg, and the original house sort of had like an extra house in the backyard. I don't know, I felt like that was a bit of an overkill. Like, it just felt like a bit too much. So for me, I just wanted the surroundings to fit, or I wanted the landscaping to fit with the surroundings, basically. So we are doing a lot of that later on. Even adding a pool, we're adding a lot of trees. It's gonna look very lush. The original house had an interior that I would describe as very lush. It was not because there's a lot of plants or anything like that, but there was something, like, they hadn't stuck to just one style. It was very brown as well. It was very warm. It almost had like a 70s feel to it, but modernized 70s. I don't really know how to explain it. I liked the interior, but I felt like if I had to recreate it in The Sims, it would end up looking like a mess. There are certain things that are just hard to get across when building in The Sims, if that makes sense. So I came up with my own interior, but it was still inspired by the color scheme of the outside, so it's still very brown, it's still very warm. It just is different. It's my own interior, and I don't know, I just really like the flow of things in this house, so I hope you will like it too. It is a little bit experimental, I'm aware, but I had a lot of fun with it, so. So in this house, there's room for 2 grown-ups and then also a kid. Actually, you could easily turn the kid's bedroom into either a tiny human's bedroom or a teen's bedroom if you'd rather have one of those ages living in this house. I don't know how to say that, but you get what I mean. Life stages or whatever. So yeah, we have room for a total of 2 to 3 Sims. I always say 2 to 3 when there's a double bed in the parents' bedroom because I always want to make sure that there could also be a single parent living in the house. Like, it doesn't have to be 2 parents. Does that make sense? So in this house, we have the parents' bedroom with a double bed. So that has room for 1 to 2 Sims. And then on top of that, also the children's bedroom. We also have 2 bathrooms. One of them is also a laundry room. That one is on the ground floor, actually, what I would like to call the basement. Where there's also this sort of like reading room. It's very cozy down there. I like how that turned out, even though everything is sort of simple in this house. I definitely did not overclutter or anything. I wanted to keep it not necessarily minimalistic, but just less cluttered, fewer items, basically. So just particularly or like items that were specifically chosen instead of just trying to find a lot of items that could fill out spaces. I wanted there to be items that felt right. I don't know how to say that. I don't know how to put my thoughts into words right now, but hopefully you get what I mean. I needed there to be less clutter, but more meaningful clutter in some way. I don't know if that makes any sense. There's also like no history behind the clutter either, so the whole meaningful doesn't really, yeah, doesn't make sense, but just fewer clutter items. But again, not minimalistic, just sort of in between a little bit. And also, of course, like I chose clutter items that I felt would fit with the family and the rest of the interior. So they're not just chosen out of the blue. When I say they have no history, it just means like I don't have an idea in my head how they got a certain vase, but they do still fit with the rest of the interior. I had a lot of fun with the eco lifestyle wall decorations as well. The ones with the lines, like the horizontal or these ones right here. I had a lot of fun with those on the exterior. I like that, I'm pretty sure they're added for this purpose. I just often don't really use them like that. I also use tulle to size them down so they would fit perfectly perfectly for the purpose, basically. Because sometimes when you size them down with the in-game size down function, the standard one, they kind of are this weird like in-between size, so you can't really use it for the purpose that you want it to. So I ended up using tulle. I actually used tulle quite a lot throughout this house, especially in the kitchen, because I was really set on trying to have fun with some of the basic shelves from base game. You know, like just the basic one, the plain one. I wanted to have some fun with that, so you'll see that in a second in the kitchen. It took me a while to sort of figure out what I wanted to do with the interior, though. I wasn't really sure what direction I wanted to go in. I just knew that I needed to keep certain parts of it very like the exterior color scheme. So for the exterior, it's very gray and then this warm brown. That's also why we got gray in the foyer or in the entrance hall. And then also the warm brown wood floor that I use throughout basically the whole apartment. It's not an apartment, the whole house. I love this floor. I think it only used to come in one color and then they added a couple of extra swatches recently, and I'm so grateful for that because this floor is just really nice. I don't know. It used to only come in this like very light beigey kind of wood tone, and sure, that's all good and well for some interiors, but for an interior like this, I needed something clean like this floor and in this specific color, so I'm very happy that we have that now. Could also have gone for the bit more rustic one from Cottage Living. However, I use that flooring so often. It's very lovely, so that's why I use it a lot, but can't keep sticking to the same kind of walls and floors and whatever every single build, so I am happy to be able to use this one still, even though I also use this floor a lot, I'm aware. But anyway, so for the kitchen, I think I actually ended up changing the colors of the counters because the black was just standing out a little bit too much along with the white counters. It didn't look right. So I tried a couple of different ones. I actually ended up going for these ones in the end, but in a different color. So the sort of like darker, warmer brown with the black countertop, and they are perfect. Swatch-wise, they are absolutely perfect. Tried to fit in a bar over there as well. It wasn't really working out in the end, so I ended up changing that for one of the items from Seasons, the one where you have like plates and stuff on display. I love that item. And then also a shelving unit from Snowy Escape, which I don't think I've used since building for that pack. So that's a while ago, but it's a very lovely shelving display. So the dining table stands out a little bit because it's in the lighter wood tone, but when I get to the living room area, so the couch area, TV area, whatever you want to call that area, I ended up placing down a rug that is sort of in the same color, so it helps brighten up. It helps basically add like another point in this room that fits with the dining table. I don't know if that makes sense, but I sometimes get questions about like color schemes and stuff, and I don't really know how to put my thoughts into words when I choose certain items, when I go for certain items. I know why I do it, like in my head I know why I do it in the moment, but I don't really know how to put it into words. So you just gotta make sure that if you have a lighter wood tone here with the dining table, at least something else in this room kind of has to fit with that dining table. The walls also, because they are this sort of like, they're not white, they are, I want to say almost like a creamy kind of color, so they go with the dining table as well. If I'd gone for white walls, again, we'd have an issue because, well, also because they were way too harsh with the rest of the interior. The interior is very dark, so by adding white walls, it would just have been a bit too much of a contrast. So I had to go for something like a cream instead. I did go for white appliances in the kitchen, but that is totally on purpose. And it works. For some reason it works, but we also have two appliances, both with the fridge and also the oven, and they're both white, so they kind of complement each other. That's actually a good word to use to describe why I do what I do. So I choose another item or a wallpaper or like a rug or something else that complements the color. So yeah, that's basically it. I don't know how else to explain it. I was very adamant about keeping the fireplace where the chimney was, which is usually not something that I care about one bit. I just don't care. It's not, Sims is not supposed to be realistic per se. Yeah, sometimes you want to do something super realistic, but most of the time I just want free reins. I don't want to think about certain things like that, like I'm some sort of architect, because I'm not. I just build houses in The Sims. So I am a little bit more chill about that, but for this house specifically, for some reason, I just needed the fireplace to be where the chimney was. I also added 2 chimneys on the exterior because the chimney was way too narrow, by the way, so if you saw that earlier and you were wondering what the heck was going on there, it was just because the chimney was too narrow for the one square chimney that I made out of walls. Am making sense right now? Anyway, so to fill up the whole square, I decided to add 2. There might be extra smoke when you turn on the chimney or when you turn on the fireplace, light it up, whatever you say. But that's okay. That's cool, kind of, right? I don't know, maybe not. It didn't look right with just one chimney. So anyway, but the fireplace is where the chimney is. So that is for those of you who are very particular when it comes to that sort of thing. I got you covered in this build. But usually I really don't care one bit. I just do not care when it comes to the chimney. I have this thing where exteriors and interiors tend to be sort of 2 separate entities. Of course, I need them to kind of complement each other as well when it comes to color scheme and also style sometimes. It's kind of fun sometimes to build something a little bit like a country house or a farmhouse and then make the interior a little bit on the modern side, maybe like a mix of modern and more country-esque. I don't know if that makes sense. Country rustic. I like that mix as well. Country rustic with modern. That's a nice little mix. Whatever. So sometimes it's fun to do like that, but most of the time I like when, at least color scheme wise, the exterior fits with the interior, even though realistically, again, that doesn't make any sense. It's just like looking at the whole picture when you're building a house in The Sims. That's basically what it is. But when it comes to garages or chimneys, I just do not care. If there's a garage and I don't want it to be a garage, so it looks like a garage from the exterior, it has the door, it has the windows, everything. But for the interior, if I am lacking a game room or even a living room, or if I want there to be an extra bedroom, I just will not care that that's supposed to be a garage. I will turn it into whatever room I want it to be. So that's what I mean when I say they're basically 2 different entities in my head when I build. But color scheme wise, still important for them to complement each other. I don't know, it's a thing. So for the parents' bedroom, I initially tried to make this sort of, I don't know what to call it, but with these cupboards, and then it wasn't really working out the way I wanted it to because the bed just did not fit. We need some kind of bed that doesn't have a headboard, so it's very easily customizable for us. I love to cover up the headboards with stuff like this, or with the cupboards sometimes, or other stuff that I can think of. But headboards in The Sims are so huge, and you can't just specifically size down the headboard and keep the rest of the bed its original size. It doesn't work like that. So we need other beds that have smaller headboards or just none at all, like a mattress. That would be great. But without it being the ones from Eco Lifestyle with all the tears in the bed throw or whatever you call that. Just it needs to look nice and clean and neat so we can use it for more customized kind of interiors like I was trying to do before. It wasn't working out, so that's why I ended up putting it against the other side of the wall. I turned this into a major closet situation instead, but that's what I was trying to do initially. Like, turn it into, I don't really know what to call it, but you could probably imagine what I was trying to go for, maybe. And I know that you can get CC that would probably solve my issues with the headboard situation, but I just in general don't really build with CC. I think the last time I mentioned it, some people in the comments weren't too happy about me kind of considering downloading some CC, which I get. I mean, I still, it's my game, so if I really want to, I will do it, because I also have to have fun when I'm decorating. The game has to be fun for me too, you know? But I also understand that as a console player, you don't have access to CC, so it would kind of suck to see one of your YouTubers start using CC a lot. Does that make sense? So I get it, but at the same time, it's still my game, so if I really want to, I will do it. But something that I also want that probably will not be possible without CC, because I can't really imagine how this would work in gameplay, but I know that you can get like mattresses that are separate from the throw on the bed, and then you can download throws in a lot of different patterns and colors and fabrics and stuff, and I would love something like that from the team, but again, I know that, or I think it wouldn't really be possible gameplay wise. It would definitely be weird the way that it's set up. It's different when it's CC because those are just different items. They work differently, but I'm not sure that the team itself could do something like that. That would make the whole, like, make it so much more customizable, and I want that. I need that in my game. And this is probably one of the reasons that I'm a little bit tempted to also start downloading CC, because that mattress, just mattress without a headboard, that would be amazing to have on my hands. I'm just saying. So anyway, we already did the kids' bedroom. It's basically just like a regular standard kids' bedroom, but they have everything they should need in there, including a little corner to do their homework. I also sized down the dollhouse this time because I am still frustrated that the dollhouses are so chunky and big, but it still works. I'm aware of it. I did get a lot of, the last time I mentioned the dollhouses being so big, I used to size them down all the time, so I already know that that's a thing you can do, but sometimes I also want the item to be the original size, and since I don't know I don't know how dollhouses look in real life because I've never had one. These kinds of dollhouses are not common where I'm from either, so I don't know what they're supposed to look like in real life, and that's why sometimes I feel like it's important that I also let the item be its original size, because otherwise, if I size it down and it doesn't look like an actual dollhouse like it does in real life, that's kind of weird. Yeah, am I getting my point across? I'm gonna try to stop saying does that make sense, because I know that's super annoying. It's not like nothing I say makes sense, but sometimes I feel like maybe it's hard to get my point across. I don't know. It's a language thing, it's fine. So I did the upstairs bathroom. They have both a bathtub and also an open shower, customized, of course, with some wall dividers from Discover University, and color scheme wise it fits with the rest of the house as well, although a little bit more on the cooler side, the brown tones in there instead of the warmer browns that we're using in the rest of the house, but we're also a little bit more limited when it comes to, actually there's a mix of warm tones in there. I feel like it works. I feel like we're good, but we are a little bit more limited when it comes to certain items in bathrooms, and also I just don't like doing bathrooms. So yeah, I need to move on from them quickly. Otherwise I just lose all will to do anything. That's basically how it works, okay? If it came to me, I would just make all the bathrooms white and that's it. I would stick to white and just call it a day, but this is for you guys. I do my best to make them fit with the rest of the house, but honestly, bathrooms kind of are the bane of my existence, I'm not gonna lie. And here we are doing another one. Although this one also has the laundry machines, I hope that this shelf doesn't cause any issues using the laundry machines, but if you find that they're blocked, take out the shelf and also the items that are stacked on the shelf and you should be fine. The cupboards, I've playtested those before, but I have not playtested the shelf when it's so close to the laundry machines. I know that sometimes it's the weirdest things that can like block an item, so if you have issues with the laundry machines, you can just take out the shelf and the items. That was my point. Oh, I completely forgot to say, but another reason that I decided to build this on the island instead of in the hill-like area is because the view from the terrace out here is amazing. And also from the reading room, actually, it is just so beautiful. I love the view from certain lots here on the island because you can look over all the water. I am not a, like, I would like to go here for maybe like a weekend or 4 days or so. I would not want to live in this house simply because of the location. I feel like if this was in a more populated area, I would be fine with it. But I've watched Hush, okay? I've watched Hush 3 or 4 times. I just don't trust houses that are in remote areas. I don't, especially ones that are near forest or anything like that. So I'm not gonna live here myself. That's, yeah, just not happening. But I would go here for like a weekend getaway or a week's vacation or something. I totally would. But the view though is beautiful. And I think that The Sims also, as someone who doesn't really do gameplay, don't take my word for this, but I think they're also able to swim in some of the ocean. Correct me if I'm wrong, because that might very well be. I don't really know for certain, but that would be kind of cute if they could, because you could kind of pretend like we have beaches and stuff, you know? So not that I'm a very beachy person either, definitely not. Not at all. We've been through that. We'll probably talk about it again next summer. It's just not my thing. So I'm redheaded. It's just not, it does not agree with me. Yeah. So we're doing landscaping for basically the rest of this video. There's a lot, okay? I sometimes get questions when I do stuff with the terrain tool and then mix it with a lot of plants like I'm doing today, because floating plants are a thing, levitating plants, they still are in my builds. You cannot, you kind of can't avoid having levitating plants now and then. Also, some of the rocks definitely are levitating, but I cover them up. So you can't see they're levitating unless you zoom in close. So if you download this build off the gallery, please do not zoom in close on this landscaping, okay? I can't prevent floating plants or rocks. Nobody can. What I do though is, you see where the 2 stairs are? I basically do my terrain tooling, my terrain manipulation in like stages, so that instead of it just being like a gradual decline in the slope, or however you say that, these are fancy words that I don't know how to talk about hills in English. I've not learned how to talk about hills in English, so how would I know? But hopefully you get what I mean. Instead of it just being like a steep, gradual decline, you do it in stages. So you have a little bit of like a flat surface somewhere on the hill, and you can probably see it right here as well. So on the flat surface, it's easier to place down plants without them being levitating or flying in the air or floating or whatever you want to call it. And then what I do as well is where the rock is visible, I just like here place down rocks and then make sure that the front of the rocks are always covered by other rocks until we're on this flat surface. Yeah? So that way you can kind of like cover up that some of the rocks are floating. It's a thing, it's kind of like trial and error, but that's usually what I do. I just keep getting questions about it whenever I do stuff with terrain tool or with the terrain tool, and even though it's been a while since the last time I did, but I don't know how else to explain it. This is why I don't do tutorials, because honestly, explaining stuff like this. We don't learn words like this in English, so I don't kind of just have to learn as I go as I get older. Certain words you kind of have to figure out yourself. And these words, I don't know. So hopefully that made some sort of sense to some of you, but it might also not. I don't know. Anyway, I tried to explain it, so I'll probably try again in a future video. But the point just is, cover up where the parts of the plants and also the rocks are floating and you're good. I also have floating items. It's not something you can avoid. It's just, it is what it is. You are free to add some furniture on the terrace on the back of the house as well if you want to. I decided to keep it clean, but you can definitely add a couple of items there. And also on the parents, they also have a little bit of a terrace that I also did not touch purposely, but you can also add some furniture there if you want to. So they could have like an outdoors dining table that's one square with a couple of chairs or something. They can sit out there and chill together, talk over like a cup of morning coffee or tea or whatever they want. They don't have tea machines or they don't have any appliances for that in this kitchen, but you could definitely still add them if you want to, so you're free to do that. And other than that, I think I added a small dining table on this like porch situation underneath the building. I don't know how to explain that situation, but there is a dining table right here. This is also where I end up placing down the outdoors trash cans as well, so if you've not seen me place those yet, they will be placed right here. And I think that is it. I think this table is just for if you don't want to sit inside and read, you can go out on the porch and do it instead. And that was basically the purpose of that. But I think that's about it. That's all we have left of this build. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap up this voiceover now. If you like this house, you can download it off the gallery. My ID is AvelineYT, and you can also find it under the hashtag Aveline or AvelineYT. And as always, the tray files can be found on my Patreon, which will be linked to in the description box down below. If you like books or talking about books or listening to people talk about books, ranting about books, nerding about books, check out my other channel. That'll also be linked to in the description box as well as in the pinned comment. And that is all I got for you guys today. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you did. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye. It's high and low.